All right, now on to our keynote speaker for today, Brian Martin. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here, Al.
Great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure. First of all, thank you all for being here, and it's a pleasure. I've worked with Al here for years, as well as a number of the leaders in BCP. So I see Sally on here. How you doing, Sally? Worked with Sally and Colleen and Josue and a group of leaders here, and as well as Al throughout the years. So, yeah, my name is Brian Martin. I'm a MAPS coach. You know, I'll give you like the short version. I was an agent. I was a leader. I've coached coached leaders and top rainmakers throughout the Keller Williams system here for just about 9 years with MAPS. I've been with Keller Williams since 2007. In this type of situation, I love being in front of everybody, but it's more of a conversation, is what I would say. So I have some things that I'd like to be able to talk through, and then I'm going to ask for you to give feedback or questions or thoughts around it, so that we can kind of work through this together. Sound good?
Sounds great. And not that Brian needs any more validity than he already has, but just to let you know, two of the best leaders obviously we've ever had in BCP are Colleen Kossoff and Sally Ponchak. And if you ask them probably who within KW has been most influential in their success, they would probably point to Brian Martin. So definitely pay attention today, because you're definitely going to learn a lot from Brian.
I appreciate that. My goal is simple, because I actually believe that the more simple we can make something, the more likely it is that we can take action. I have something where I say complication is just a new creative place to hide. So a lot of the things that I'm talking about today, they may not even be things where you go like, oh, I've never heard anything like that before. Because I believe there's power in being reminded of the things that we know, or maybe even refining the things that we know to be able to say, this is something I can go take action on today and get a result. Make sense? So if you
Absolutely.
came here for all the words in the thesaurus, I'm actually probably the wrong person for that. But we're going to go over some stuff today. So we're going to go to something I think is fundamental in what we do in real estate, as well as any sales business, anything we do. It usually starts out with a conversation around unique value proposition, right? There's a lot of talk around value since all the stuff with the NAR settlement, right? So I guess I would just ask, what is it? And this part's interactive. So for this, you would unmute and you'd share, or you can raise your virtual hand and I'll call on you. What do you do as an agent that's unique?
This is a very interactive group, Brian. So you're going to be amazed by how many people raise their hand and just start
It's
talking all
great.
at once.
It's good. I'm good with silence too, but this is an opportunity for live coaching, right? So what do you do that's unique? What do you do as an agent that is unique? Yeah, Susan.
I communicate all the time with the seller so that they know what's going on. And if nothing's going on, I still let them know that nothing's going on, or I'll tell them a new one came on the market that's going to be competing with yours, or etc.
Okay. Okay. So you it sounds like you pride yourself on communication, whether things are going great or not, or whatever it is, and you see that as a value proposition. Okay. Who else?
Thank you for breaking the ice, Susan. It's always hard to be the first one to chime in.
Thank you, Susan.
I prospect every day to find buyers for my sellers.
Okay, so you're prospecting to find buyers for the listings that you have.
Yes.
Love that. Okay, great. I like that. It's a good value proposition. I don't know that everybody does that. I mean, honestly, so that does bring part of the unique spin on it. Anyone else?
Yes, I'll go.
Yeah.
I was just about to call on you. I was like, I know Phyllis will have something to say here, and you beat me to it.
Well, Susan beat me to the punch, but of course I have something to say. I provide my clients with information that they couldn't get otherwise, meaning things like data analytics and really analyzing a particular situation, whether they're a buyer or seller. So I make sure that what they have is something that they have never, ever received before from any other agent on the planet.
Okay, so you have a unique approach to using data and analytics to give a perspective that the client is not likely to get anywhere else.
Along with my personality, which is the real bonus.
I
But
could tell.
I play back with it. I keep pulled back, but yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly. Is it Baruch?
That's correct. That's fine.
Okay, okay.
Baruch Schwartz.
What do you got?
What I do is I do a lot of when I get listings, I do a lot of networking with other agents, telling them what I have. Maybe they have someone for it. Because over the years, I know already which agents, have buyers for such type of properties, which agents have buyers for such type of properties. So I right away, like if you tell me, for example, somebody offers me a piece of land for sale, I right away have my 4 or 5 agents that I've been working with many years, not necessarily from our office, just in general. And I would call them up. I would tell them I got this up, this and that, and then they feel interested, looking into it because they know they're working with an agent that's willing to, split the deal with them. Now they have to call and maybe nobody's going to get back to them. So I right away tell my sellers, look, I'm not telling you I'm going to sell it for the highest price, but I'll make sure that all agents out there that are really active in the market will get to know about the property and will be, easy to put an offer on the property or if any questions you have on the property.
Okay, great. So sounds like you work with a group of insider agents to help put the transactions together quickly and for the highest value.
Correct.
Okay. You might hear that as each person's sharing, I'm reframing it in different words that are kind of like a short version of it. Because sometimes we have to think about, you may do that, but what does it take for you to describe that to your client, right? What does it take for your client to see, or your potential client to see the differences in what it is you provide? What I want to talk about today is these types of questions are coming more coming more to light currently right now, right? Like the question of what is it that the realtor does, what's the value of the commission, everything else. And I kind of bring it in perspective like this, right? If you take let's just call it like an average commission. I'm going to use the number of 15,000. Okay, that's using kind of an average commission rate towards it, with an average sales price in a lot of the nation in larger cities, right? So if you use $15,000, what was the last service? What was the last time that you paid $15,000 for a service?
The last time I actually paid $15,000 for a service was when I went into a private coaching circle
Okay.
amongst other coaches, like at the table with you and some other people.
Yeah.
The table's more expensive, but yes, that was the last time that I paid $15,000 for a service to be a part
great.
of a particular community.
Yeah. Okay, great. I appreciate that. Saw somebody in the chat put never. Anyone else? You have a service you paid $15,000 for?
I'll
Okay,
chime in.
Okay,
I'll chime
great.
in.
Yeah.
How
I wouldn't
about
necessarily say I paid, but I had 2 shoulder surgeries that equaled out to about $100,000, and that's a service.
Okay, great. So that's a service. It's also there's other stuff that goes along with it, right? I mean, you're paying some machinery and location and things like that. But it's yeah, I think that is a service. I also had somebody say they had a bathroom renovation done. That is a service plus, materials and everything else, right? So was it Cindy that was going to share?
yes, I was thinking about a tour service that we had booked when we went to Europe. And
Yeah, so
we split the course between the whole family. Everybody came.
yeah, I did one of those things where I took it was like my family and my extended family to Disney World, and then we had like the multi-day VIP tour where, have you seen that? If you've been to Disney World before, they're wearing like plaid, and they walk you through the back lot of everywhere in Disney World, and just like you just get on the ride. It's not fast pass. You actually like walk through the exit and you get on the ride, and people try to guess if you're like a celebrity or something. And I'm like, I'm definitely not. I'm just a guy, wearing a black t-shirt like this. But that, yeah. So that costs. The point of bringing this up is the things we're talking about. What did you expect? When you knew you were going to pay that for a service, or if you haven't paid that for a service, if you were going to write the check for that, what would you expect? And this is kind of what we're up against. What I'm doing here is, see, behind the curtain here of the coach's playbook, I'm creating a gap, and then I'm going to give you stuff and I'm going to fill it in. So if you're getting mad right now and you're just going to log out, you won't get the good stuff. But I'm going to help you in just a minute, okay? The point is, if we've never done it, then we're gonna okay, great. We have stuff in the chat, right? So what would we expect? We'd expect the best service ever. I'd expect excellence, right? Optimum service was the expectation. Yeah.
Professionalism.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Stress-free. Exactly. Disney World's not cheap already, right? So what I expected was somebody that basically took care of everything, and they did. They delivered on that. Like, I would do it again. So I'm not a person that says, by the way, I'm pro real estate. So if you ever hear anything that you go like, oh, it sounds like he's challenging real estate agents or whatever it is, like, no, my whole life is wrapped up in real estate. I'm pro real estate. I'm pro real estate agent. I'm pro realtor. It's all good. So here's a couple things that I have 8 different things that I'm going to talk about here that I believe are actually differentiated value, right? There's values that we can provide. Some of them are hard to describe or tell people what they are, right? There's unique values that are important, because unique will cause you to be, different than even other people on the screen on here, different than other agents. So the issue is, like, if we're not unique, we're a commodity. The only way to compete as a commodity is to lower the price, right? So there are people out there that would say, oh, all real estate agents do the same thing, you get the same service. Well, if we believe that, or if that's the way that we communicate, that means the only way we can compete is a lower price, right? You get the same thing with everybody. The only way to compete is just go lower, right? And I do think we're going to see people that do that. However, what we're talking about today is, how do you differentiate the value that you provide, such that people would choose to work with you and see the value in the service you provide, okay? First one is, this one is, each of these you might hear and go, that's like a little bit of a project. It is. And I think if you did even one of these at a high level, you're gonna see a lot of value from it. So first one is, I'm going to challenge you to think of, how would you zero out the cost of commission? How do you zero out the cost of commission? What I mean by that is, if there were a situation where there was no cooperative compensation, right, and you're working with a buyer, and they're agreeing to pay your commission of, let's say, $15,000, what are the things that you could pre-negotiate with other providers, other services, such that the value exceeds $15,000, or even if it doesn't exceed it's a portion of it, right? In working with me, you have access to $5,000 in savings from, call it moving companies, landscaping companies, interior design, paint, flooring. Like, think about all the different things that our real estate business actually goes and promotes. And could you, as an agent, actually go pre-negotiate these things, saying, hey, I work a lot in this area. I know you focus in this area also. Okay, you can't do that in New Jersey. Can you explain that to me? Sorry, Margaret, you're muted, so I can't.
I'm sorry. We're not allowed to offer an enticement for someone to use our services. So, it's even like in New York, they used to do years ago, like washers and dryers. Oh, if you come with us, you're going to get a washer dryer. We're not allowed to offer anything to entice the person to use our services, which is really not right. Like, you'll see sweepstakes, where, oh, if you answer my questionnaire, we're going to do a drawing for like $500. We're not permitted to do that. I wish we could.
So in New Jersey, could you have, if you owned a moving truck, your clients couldn't use the moving truck?
I think you can do that, because that's like a service, but I would have to refer to the broker for that. But
Okay.
we're not allowed to physically give somebody money to entice them to use our services. So
Okay, so
that covers a
not
lot
saying-
of things. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm not saying money, and you're bringing up a good point. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not the specialist of real estate in New Jersey. So the things I'm telling you, you're gonna have to bring through a broker. You're gonna bring through,
Yeah.
somebody else. What I would say is, what I'm talking about is not giving people money. It's actually giving people, it's a prearranged discount on a service that another company is providing.
So then Lowe's, this was a couple years ago, were giving cards to the realtors to give out at the closing because it was giving them like $50 off if they spent whatever. And so the broker said, gee, I'm sorry, we can't use that because you're using that monetary to entice. I don't like it. I like
Okay.
you better. I like your idea better.
Okay.
Oh, for sure. We have all the brokers on here, or most of them.
Yeah.
I know you can't give a gift or cash, but can you give a discount? Because actually a great idea, to go to the moving company, home renovation company and say, I have a lot of referrals to give. Will you give a
Right.
$500 discount or a free this or that to the people that I refer to you?
Right.
Are we allowed to do that?
We're really not allowed to with quite a lot of things. And I like his way better. Like I would prefer to be able to do that. But like I have an email and it had like a sweepstakes, if you filled out the survey and then someone said to me, oh, you can't do that in New Jersey. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't even
But I think we have
realize
to
it.
be careful,
I
like,
didn't feel
who
I was
said-
doing anything wrong.
I think we have to be careful who said. A lot of times people say things that are not correct because they heard it from a friend who
Right.
heard it from a friend who heard it from another friend that you've been messing around.
So, so I think it's something to look into.
Messing around.
I'll leave that to y'all to figure out how we could do it, or is there a way to do it, or if that's totally off the table, then I get that. That's just one of them. I've got more. Okay. I think the rest of them you could probably do, hopefully. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, what we're doing. So second one here is this. Retire your clients. Retire your clients. How would you retire a client? Well, do you speak about investing with your clients? Right? Do we have any stories where you've helped people, invest in real estate and that actually caused it to be part of their retirement plan? It's pretty different, right? Here's a place to start. You could just start reading, some of the books that we have, Millionaire Real Estate Investor, things like that. Gives you some of the mechanics of it. What you would do is not only, talk about these are the types of things you could invest in, but if that's going to be something that you see as a differentiated value, you'd probably also be an agent that's out there looking for the properties that people could find as a good investment, either things that are on the market or things that you're seeking out off market to go prospect for, to put in front of clients that want to invest, that will invest. Make sense?
Yep.
Can we do that one in New Jersey? Okay, great. Thanks. Keep me honest, please.
In the aforementioned, Sally Ponchak says she thinks we can do the discount. So,
Okay.
look into it.
Okay. Well, Sally, you got your work cut out for you here. No, I'm just kidding.
She likes to go right up to that line, but she never crosses it.
It'd be great. Great. Third one, I'll tell you, this is a concept called purpose before profit. Purpose before profit. So do you have a, I got this in the mail. So I'm in Texas, right? So in Texas, they reassess your property for property taxes every year. And then you can protest what they assessed your property for, right? To keep the taxable rate down. So I got this in the mail to service that protest it for you. They do all this other stuff, right? And they give a third of all their profits go to charities, including Helping Hand Home for Children, Foster Angels, International Justice Mission, World Vision, and Compassion International. A third of all their profits go to that every year, right? So sometimes if you're talking about a larger dollar amount, especially for a service, if, you know, to be able to say like, well, this is a cause that's near and dear to me, and I give my money or time, or you create. I think another example would be, you know, we just had Red Day last week. Anybody go Red Day, whether it was this year or previous year? Red Dayers, yeah, it's pretty cool, right? Here's what happens. Here's what Red Day is. We identify a day, right? I'm giving you a formula here so you can actually do your own Red Day. We identify a day. We identify a cause, like a local cause in the community. We put that out to a database of people. And then a bunch of people show up and they're wearing, you know, Red Day shirts or whatever it is. Feels great. You get to know people. And honestly, what comes back is there's this, it's not only a great message, but I mean, it's delivering value to your community. I've been to quite a few Red Days since it started. I was at the first one. And here's what I experience every day at Red Day. People are looking left and right and they go, we should do this more often, right? Let's do Red Day once a quarter, or let's do Red Day once a... Okay, so here's what I'll challenge you with. Just like you have a database of people that you work with, right? Set a date, choose a cause, like choose like here in Austin, we have like Austin Pets Alive, right? We have all these, what is it? Community First Village. They have all these different things that you can say like, great, I'm going to choose to serve the community in this way on this date. Put it out to your database. Here's what we're doing. I've arranged it, the day, the cause. All you got to do is show up. We got a T-shirt for you. You think people would do it? It's a whole different value, though, right? It's a whole different thing if you kind of show people what you care about. They go, I'd rather be working with that person. This differentiates yourself from the rest of the crowd. Okay. Okay. Here's another one. Do you have a pipeline of buyers or investors? Going back to the investor conversation, right? That will buy the like when you go to a listing, they'll buy the house if the client isn't interested in listing it. Like just like we're talking about investors, right? Just like we're talking about for investors, we develop the investors because we go find the things they can invest in. We can also have a group of investors, and part of the differentiated value is we go find properties, and we're going to go. Okay, Al, you got an open checkbook to buy properties? That's cool.
If
you got one,
the money, yeah.
There you go. So you got one. You got one with Al. But that's the point, is if you can bring that and have a differentiated value to anybody that's thinking about listing their house, that's a huge value. There is value in having a sales team. And by the way, I don't mean it doesn't have to just be a team, right? But I'll give you two scenarios. Here in Austin, and I'm sure it's like this where you are too, you can go get amazing food from a food trailer. Have you had that before? Where you go to like here in Austin, what happens is people leave great restaurants and they start they have like a concept that's in their food trailer or food truck. So you can go and have, you know, this tremendous food. It's on a paper thing, and you sit at a picnic table and you order from the person, you know, there's two people in it's a different level of service, right? But what's the difference between that scenario and when it eventually launches into a restaurant? See, because when you go to the restaurant, instead of paying the $12 or $15 or whatever at the food truck, sitting at the picnic table, now somebody values your car. You go inside, the lighting's all cool. They walk you to your table, right? You have somebody else coming, they're pouring water in front of you. But now it's not $15, right? So is the value in the food or the service? It's a service. I mean, even if you look at like, you know, like Michelin-starred restaurants, the food has to be incredible, right? No doubt. And the service has to be incredible. But the difference is, it's, you know, part of the value because when you're sitting in a restaurant like that, you're looking around, there's all these people working, right? And it does something to your brain that goes, if I need some kind of specialized service, it'll probably come from one of these people, you know, but they're going to take care of the whole thing here. So part of it is like, who is your sales team? If you have a team, great. Think about how you promote that. If you're an individual agent, start promoting yourself differently as a team, right? So who is the broker that you're partnered with? Who are the people that other agents that can help ask questions or talk about things that are coming up? Who are the people that you don't have to have single preferred partners. That's not allowed in a lot of areas, but who are all the different people that you have chosen to partner with, that you can work with, that work throughout the transactions. Another one would be, like, who is that? David, you were talking about identifying, like for sellers, you're prospecting for buyers for the homes. Imagine if a lot of times in a tight market with low inventory, there are people that would sell a home, but they don't really know what the next home is because they don't see homes like that on the inventory. So maybe part of it is you prospect for homes that are actually off market, because when your seller is when they sell something, they're going to buy something, right? So it's basically taking buyer criteria and finding the homes that they can buy. Same thing here. So prospect, the next one would be prospecting for buyer needs and finding listings. And I saved the best one for last. You ready? This is the one I would do today. I would take a sample set, like let's talk about database first, all the people in your database, all the people in your cell phone, and create a survey and ask them what kind of value what would they see as the most value in being represented as a buyer and being represented as a seller. And all the things you think of that you could possibly do, put it down there as an option. Or all the things you think, or all the things you hear of other people doing, write that down there as an option and have them rate, oh, I find this the most valuable, or I wouldn't find this valuable, or whatever it is, right? Give them places where they can actually fill in their own answers. Excuse me. So they can actually fill in their own answers and give you more information, right? Then it's kind of simple. Once you have all that data, let's say you have 5,000 people in a database, you send it out, you get 500 responses, okay? Take the data, you look at that and you say, how do I adjust my value proposition? How do I adjust exactly what it is that I'm talking with people about to ensure that this is being provided? And then in sitting with a potential client, you bring the whole list, right? These are all the, I sent this out to 5,000 past clients and potential people in my database. 500 people responded. These are the top things they see as value in working with a buyer like yourself. Do you agree with that? This is what we've turned our whole business into. How do we bring the greatest value to you as a prospective buyer to help you make one of the greatest investments of your life? What else would you include? And just listen. And over time, I believe through that kind of survey and then building the value proposition, continuing to move through it, I think you have the greatest value proposition in your market.
I'll say something.
Great.
Thank
you, Margaret.
So I find it difficult to go and just talk about me. However, I am really successful, and what's getting me through this whole market is my past clients. So I have a lot of experience. I have 35 years.
Okay.
And when I am introduced to a new client from a past client, I don't have to do any of that. So I concentrate on my past clients. Some of the skill sets that I have don't really transpire. So I did sales before real estate. So I know about neurolinguistics. I know about, match and mirror and all that stuff.
Yeah.
When I'm on a listing appointment, it's never the same. It's hard for me to explain to other people, but I'm taking clues from who the client is. If he's an accountant, he's a numbers person. Yeah, I'm going to go over statistics with him. If it's a visual feely person, they don't care about that. So
Yeah.
I don't do the same presentation. I
Great.
mold it to who the other person is. So I think it's best, or at least for me, to concentrate on my past clients, because I get the most from that. And I
Mhm.
have a lot because I've done it so long. I can cold call, I'm good at it, but it's not the same appointment when you're cold calling, because they don't really know about you. And that's what's hard for me, is to talk about myself.
Yeah.
But I am great, but I would never, I just am not comfortable in front of
Yeah.
somebody saying, oh, I did this, I'm so great. And that's why the other way works for me.
So Margaret, have you ever, I don't know, right? I'm just asking this question. Like, have you considered the type of material you would send to somebody that you don't know, that you don't have a past client relationship with, right? The type of material you may send to them that they could watch ahead of time or read ahead of time or whatever it is, such that they would see the value before you even get to talk about yourself, or before you even get to talk, like, because you don't feel as comfortable talking about yourself.
Right. So years ago, Alan Dalton, he was one of the principals in my company. And so we did tapes, like professional audio tapes, and this before photography, pictures. Like, I've done a lot of unique things. And what I found is nobody really listened to it. But I think it would have to be packaged differently, maybe more visual or something. It would have to be really easy for that person to look at it, because most people, they get so much mail, it's like more crap. They're not really looking at it. So you'd have to come up with something very unique, very visual and easy. And if you can catch them visually, then they might read it.
Yeah. Have you all heard of Tony Robbins?
I love Tony Robbins. I've walked on fire a couple times.
Perfect.
Watched the last one, which was here February, was it? It was the first
Family Reunion
time that I had him on the computer. I love him.
Yeah. So at Family Reunion,
and
I thought it was interesting
because I couldn't go to Family Reunion.
Okay, great. Yeah. So at Family Reunion, it was interesting. What he does is, even if nobody knew who he was, right, had never read the book, had never seen him speak, had never done anything else, he has a video that introduces him. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't come on stage and go, "Hi, I'm Tony Robbins, and yeah, let me tell you about all the great things I've done, and let me tell you about the people I've poured into." It's not like that, right? You take Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, anything like that. If you actually go to see them, or if you were going to meet them, you look it up, and there's like these like, for lack of a better term, I would call it like a hype video, right? It's got like Tony Robbins has like him and Oprah, right? It's got like John Maxwell has like him. John Maxwell has like, he's like teaching kids in other countries, right? It like shows a dynamic perspective of who they are. It's 60 to 90 seconds or something like that, right? Because then what's going to happen, it has this whole video that's kind of showing they've won these awards, they've done these things, here's what all the philanthropy, it's all the things that they may not even be comfortable talking about themselves, like what you're saying, right? And then ultimately they get on stage and it's just a guy holding a microphone speaking. But it allows the listener, it allows the person to like hear what they're saying through a filter. And the filter is whatever they just watched in the video. So Tony Robbins has this like an incredible hype video, right? All the great things he's done, all the people he's helped, it's like him like coaching presidents of the United States, right? It's him like in other countries doing all this other stuff. He's like jumping up and down and everything's exciting, right? And then he comes out and he can say anything and people are like, "Wow, yes, great job, yes, I love that," because they're seeing it through a filter of who that person is. I think sometimes we go into situations and we don't do all that stuff.
No.
We don't feel comfortable with promoting ourselves at that level.
Yeah.
I would say, if I was going to give you something, I'd say go to your past clients, figure out what they would say, get some video testimonials if possible, like throw an event, have them do video testimonials, create your own, your own version of a hype video that you could send to people so that they could watch it on their phone. Right? You have a 90-second to 2-minute video. Hey, I'm looking forward to meeting with you. Check this out. Right? Take a look at this before we get started. And if you take any of the things that we talked about before, right? If you have a philanthropic side of your business, include that, right? You do your own version of your red day, right? Just for your business. Take lots of pictures and video. Have that in your what you do, right? That's telling people the story before we even get there. That's on the listing side, it's on the buyer side, it's everything else.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that help?
It does. It does. I have a charity that I really love to give to is Tunnels to Towers, but I don't know, like, if I should put that in my marketing because I don't know. It feels like I'm trying to be associated with them or something. I do give to them, and I thought I definitely could give them a piece of every transaction. I'd be happy to do it. That's not how I give to them now, but I do. But then is that like using that organization, like to just better myself? Because that's not the point of giving to them.
I don't see it. I mean, I don't see it that way. Some may see it that way. I'd actually look at it like.
So that's associated with houses.
I think
Right.
the result is that, charitable organization is getting more donations because of you. It's a net win. There's no downside to that. I was going to say something on that note. When I did sell real estate, I used to donate $500 to pediatric epilepsy for every deal that I did because I had a personal connection to it. And that, it was good and it resonated with people. But eventually what I realized, they didn't have the connection to pediatric epilepsy. So I started saying, by default, I'll donate to pediatric epilepsy. But if you have a charity of choice, I'll donate to that one. And I didn't think most people would take
That's a good idea.
And almost everyone switched it. All of a sudden, I was doing so much good work for my charity, and it got switched. I thought maybe once in a while someone will switch it. 80% of people switched it to whatever. It was still good. They picked all good stuff, but it wasn't my thing anymore. But, people want to put their money where things that are near and dear to their heart, not necessarily. They may not care about Tunnel to Towers. They may want to do it for AIDS research or homeless people. But, regardless, it's going to a good cause.
Yeah, I would also say, like Margaret, if you're putting that in things that are promoting your business, you're also promoting that charity. So there may be people that go like, I don't know what that is. I'm going to look that up. Oh, this is a cause that's near and dear to Margaret. I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna look it up. And they start looking it up and they go, oh my gosh, well, at the end of the year, or what people have like end of the year giving, right? It's pretty simple, right? You're promoting something that does good in the community. If you sell more houses, if you give a portion of every home sale to that, and you sell more houses, you're going to give more to that cause, right? And I love what you said, like even giving an option to say, if this isn't your cause, like, well, or the cause of your choice, right? Or the charity of your choice.
That actually makes me feel better to have my cause and then give people a choice.
Yeah.
I think that's a terrific idea that you have.
Is it Rika?
Yes, I just wanted to share, to your point, I do a ton of volunteering. I am president of Zod. I'm the social director for my lake. I sponsor the Ringwood Educational Foundation 5K every year. And I would do all these things and they take so much of my time, but I would feel guilty to promote them because I'm like, I'm doing it out of the goodness of my heart. But then I'm like, but that is time that I'm taking away from prospecting. So I literally now have gotten like way better about promoting what I'm doing, not just for business, but so people know who I am. And like, yes, I'm doing these things and I go, hey, you could donate here, you could do this, you could do that. And it's like the bottom line is I do it out of the bottom of my heart. At the same time, it takes a lot of time away from me making phone calls every day. But if I don't monetize and promote what I'm doing, then I'm not going to be able to do those things anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like getting out of that guilt mode. People are like, oh my gosh, you're doing so much great stuff. And all that, it's like, Yeah, I was president of PTO. Yeah, I was this, I was that. And guess what? It comes back, but it's not that you're doing it from that heart of doing it for the money, because I would do it for free. But at the same time, it takes our time, and time is money. And so
Yeah.
if you don't share that information, people don't know you, who you are, and where you're putting your time in. And it should build your business.
Yeah.
Also.
I think it's something that if people know who you are, if they know what's important to you, they're going to be more excited to work with you if that's what they, if they agree with that or they're inspired by that. Then okay, well then I want to work with you. If I have a choice between, it's like if I have the choice between if the value is the same and I have a choice between two people and one of them is giving money back to a cause that's important to me, which one would I choose?
100%, and it's working for me. So,
or even if I had just a conversation with myself, right? And we all do this, or maybe it's just me. Sometimes you have a conversation to yourself and you go, wow, I'd like to give more, or I'd like to donate my time, or whatever it is. But if it would make it a lot easier if somebody just, like, I think some of the power of Red Day is we make it easy for people, right? Here's the day, here's the time, here's the shirt, show up, we'll show you what to do. Like, you need no tools, no skill, no prior knowledge. You don't have to plan anything. Just show up, and all these people show up and it's great. So we can do the same thing in our local communities, and what you do. So thank you for sharing those things. Okay, I have one more quick one. Ready? We hear a lot of great things, and we look at what I find is like a lot of people know the things that they would do if they want to change something in their business or their life. If there's a reason they don't do it, and it's because we don't actually create habit around it. So I just wanted to share this thought with you. Think of what is the thing that you could introduce into your life or to your business, creating a new habit that would cause you to hit a different goal, right? So in business, it may be consistent lead generation. Like Anna said, she makes, for Anna to make 20 calls every day, right? That if that's a habit, that's something you could drive a business through for the rest of your life easily, right? There's personal things, right? Maybe you want to have a certain amount of sleep at night, or drink a certain amount of water, or I'm going to use one as an example here because it's me, I'm talking, right? And nobody else. I'm just kidding. So for me, in the past, I was challenged to run a marathon, and my answer was no way. And they go like, why not? And I'm like, because I'm not a runner. I don't run. They go, oh, that's fine. You will be. This is another coach challenging me to this, right? Oh, that's fine. You will be. Okay. And I went, well, I'm not in good shape. He goes, oh, you will be. And I go, but I don't like running. He goes, that's okay. I'm like running out of excuses, right? I'm like, I don't have time. And he's like, we'll figure it out. I went, when is it? And at this point, it was 4 months from when we were talking about it. So I literally went couch to marathon in 16 weeks. I do not recommend that to anybody on here. Don't do it. Don't do it in 16 weeks. Train for longer than that, okay? I think it actually caused me I did that, a couple of half marathons. It caused me to have like a heel pain, right? So for a couple of years, I didn't run. And at the beginning of this year, I said, okay, I'm going to do it different. Instead of long runs, doing all this other stuff, I'm looking at consistency. So I challenged myself, can I just create a habit around, running every day? So when I think about habits, or what I found in coaching a lot of people is habits actually are created in layers. And I'll explain it like this, right? The first day that I went to run, the only thing that mattered was I put my shoes on. Didn't even matter what kind of shoes I was wearing. Put my shoes on and I just went and ran. And then I came home and then I took my shoes off. And that was it. That was one day, right? Second day, had to put my shoes on and go run. Third day, put your shoes on and go run. Well, it's not until you do that a couple days in a row, then you go like, well, it would help if I did this at a consistent time, right? If I could block a consistent time, that's the next layer, or that's what it was for me, right? And you do that for a while. You put some energy into that because now you're running every day. You're doing a consistent time, right? And then once that layer is established, then it's like, okay, am I wearing the right shoes? I'm doing this every day. and I'm wearing shoes that aren't meant for like everyday running. They're meant for, you know, longer distance, infrequent running. So I get shoes that are meant for like everyday running. Right. And we do this in life, right? You don't start with all of it all at once and then go, well, I either succeed or I fail because I was wearing the right clothes with the right shoes at the right time with the right, you know, amount of water and the right amount of sleep. And did I do it at the right time? You don't start with all that. It's overwhelming. That's what causes most people to do nothing. Right? We hear something and we go, like, nobody on here is sitting here going like, yeah, I've never heard that running is good for you or good for your health. Right? No, people have, you know, and it's, I'm just using it as an example. You don't have to run. You can walk. You can just spend outside time, you know, in nature, or the popular one now is grounding. Anybody grounding? You just put your feet on the ground. Anyway, the point is, whatever it is for you, think about it in layers. What's the simplest version now that I can do consistently, daily, all the time? Then I'm going to add in some complexity over time, right? When you're thinking about whatever that simple habit is, there's one that's probably already come to your head, right, while I've been talking. So I'd ask you to identify, what is it? What is it that you could do daily? When can you do it? You're gonna have to have a time block. And I'll tell you this: most people think about time blocks in a way that I think doesn't serve you, right? So the word block actually has two different versions of the word. One is a noun, which it's like a block, right? Like it's like you build things with a block, right? It looks like a rectangle. And that's, I think people use that one because that's what they draw in their schedule, or it's what it looks like on their online calendar, right? That's their time block. That's their intention. But then life gets in the way and they don't do it, right? The other version of the word block is that it's a verb. So if you think about like a football team, right? The offensive line is there to block everything from something very valuable, which is the football. So I'm actually having you think about your time block as something that's blocking everything from this valuable activity, whether it's spending time with your family, doing something that's important to you, giving back to your community, you know, creating a new habit, whatever it is. And then think about who you can get involved. There's always people that you can bring into this accountability conversation, right? So there's other coaches here on the screen. There's people you can work with. There's people you can just volunteer to be accountable for you. Say, hey, I'm focusing on doing this every day. Would it be okay if we just, do you have anything like that too? Can we check in, each day and just see if we're doing it together? Figure out a simple way to track it. I have been running every day this year. So far, I run about 3.5 miles every day. I write it down on a calendar. I got this free calendar of Volkswagens, and I just write down every day how far I ran, right? And then I add it up. It's the weirdest thing about accountability. You can write it down on something simple like that, and all of a sudden you go, the only reason I'm really doing this so I can write down a little number on the on the calendar, right? And then, when it's feeling comfortable, then think about what would the next layer of that be. That make sense? But the biggest part is this. Imagine that this container, instead of holding, 12 ounces of liquid or whatever, held 24 hours, right? All of us already have one. All of us already have one. You already have 24 hours and it's already full, all the way to the top, every single one of you. But if you want to introduce something new, you're gonna have to pour something out first. You have to, and when you're purposeful about that, it's great. You can determine what your 24 hours are, what the outcome of it is, everything else, right? But you got to pour something out. You have to decide what it is. The number one thing that I believe gets in the way of people that want to change something in their life is they just look at this and they go, I'm already full. I don't have any time to do this other thing. Like, I don't have, Brian, that's cool. Walk for 30 minutes a day. I don't have 30 minutes a day right now. Right? It's like, yeah, because it's full. But you got to take the 30 minutes from something else to do it. I know that's not groundbreaking. Everybody knows there's 24 hours. However, that's a decision you have to make.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, basically everybody has to have a value proposition.
Yeah.
what makes you different? Do you have a 30-second elevator speech? What do you do? Every realtor says the same thing, but what do you do differently? And now when we have to sign buyer's agency agreements, you have to convince them why working with you is worth it and why they should sign an agreement to work only with you and maybe pay you that 1% difference that the selling agent won't be paying you coming forward. Basically.
Yeah. So part of our power in this is defining what it is, thinking of how do we actually communicate that to people. Like, Paul, imagine you're going to meet with a prospective buyer, right? Today at 6 o'clock or something. And you say, hey, or if I was going to come meet with you and I'd say, hey, Paula, where will you be around 2 o'clock today? I'm gonna have something delivered to you. Right? You're like, I'll be at work. I'll be here. Here's the address, right? And what gets delivered to you is a package that has cool things in it. It has like a nice like magazine, like glossy magazine, has like maybe even something like this that has like, Brian Martin logo on it or something, like, and this gets delivered to you and you open it up and you're like, what is this stuff? Right? And you get a message from me saying, hey, I hope you got the package I sent you. Please take a look at that magazine before we meet. There's some interesting things in there. And in there's like pictures of giving back to the community, and there's testimonials in there. There's whatever, right? We have to start creating a different experience for people if we want them to see the value in what we do. But that's going to take preparation ahead of time. That thing I just told you about, like, that's something that we've been doing on the listing side. A lot of people have been doing on the listing side for years. But
and maybe we need to do that with the buyers now.
Absolutely. We're gonna have to do it for both right now, because both sides of a transaction are going to question the value unless we describe it, unless we define it and describe it for them.
Well, the days of meeting buyers at a property, I think, are going to be over.
I agree. I mean, you have to, again, we're going to think about professional, right? So if you can have a professional team, if they come to a professional office, if we have all these pieces in place, they got a package delivered to them before they even came to meet with you. Now
bring them water, and when you meet with them, finally have a water package, have a snack, have all this stuff, because you're going to be seeing 5 houses.
Yep.
You want to show that, you also are showing them homes are off market. If you get a buyer, you should be fishing for a listing, not waiting for it to come on the market.
Yep. Yeah. All of those things are sending like these nonverbal messages to the client, just saying, these are all things that have been prepared for you in advance. I'm going to take care of you. You don't have to think about it.
Right.
Which is where we started at the beginning, right? Like, what's the value you would expect? You'd expect somebody to have white glove service, take care of everything, high standards, the whole. So that's our challenge.
It's all in the presentation.
Al, how do we do?
I think you did a great job. The feedback's been great, and I definitely got a lot out of it. And one thing I was just thinking about in your conversation with Paula, when I sold real estate, I always loved working with sellers, because, you knew once you got that agreement signed, if it sells, you're going to get paid. Now, I know a lot of people are, nervous and anxious about these changes, but, in a lot of ways, it's better. I love the idea that, if you can get that, buyer's agency agreement signed, it's not the Wild West anymore, where maybe they're going to show up to an open house, or maybe they're going to pick a new realtor out of convenience. Now you've signed them. It's just like signing a listing. You're going to go above and beyond and have to send these packages. It's going to cost you a little more time and money. But when they buy a house, you're going to get paid. In a way, I think it's a lot better this way. It's just like listing houses. You're listing buyers now.
I would have to agree. It's going to create loyalty. We didn't have that before.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think overall, it all of this will be opportunity for those of us that go and define what it's going to be in the future and take action. But if you can hear my voice and you're sitting here going like, oh, this isn't going to change the way I do business, it's already changed it. It has already changed it.
And I think that, to Al's point, it has been the Wild West, where if you don't get to that property first and meet that client, we had agents literally show up at a property and they were already with an agent. We'll have time. We'll have more time to really work with those clients that deserve our help.
Yeah, I
Great.
think it puts more respect back on our industry, and that, the best people will get them to sign it versus, what was the criteria before that? Whoever had nothing better to do and could meet them immediately wins, even though that could be the least qualified, wrong agent to be working with them. But now they're going to pick who has the best value proposition, and it bodes well for all the people on this call.
Absolutely. I can say, hey, Brian, how do you feel about off-market properties? How do you feel about me showing you properties that no other agent will show you?
Perfect.
How do you feel about I have 14 different things I can put into an offer for you? None of them have to do with offering more money, and the terms may be more sellable to a seller. Is that something we should go over prior to making offers?
Perfect.
Right? I mean,
Or-
I'm throwing these things out there because I want people to see me as being different, right?
Yeah.
When we go out, Brian, and start looking at properties, I have access to records, things like surveys and zoning and taxes and chain of title. Is that something that you think you would feel is important if I brought that with me on the properties that we go out and see, Brian?
Love it.
Brian, as we wrap it up, I want to be aware of your time. We're already a little bit over. Are you, I know you're the #1 leadership coach in the entire company. Are you mostly, the folks on here today are agents that run teams? Yeah. Are you coaching any big teams or agents anymore? Is it 100% leadership at this point?
I coach a number of the top rainmakers in Keller Williams. They're
So if somebody here was interested in coaching with you, can they reach out to you?
I think whether you're interested in coaching, whether it's with me or not, I mean, it's like it's worth a conversation that we have about what coaching is and what it isn't, and whether it's working with me or if I can help you get connected with another coach. I've also been a part of developing a lot of the MAPS, not only leadership coaches but also MAPS coaches that are in the system today. So I know a lot of them. Personally, I'll be able to look at like what it is that you're looking for in your business and the way that you work, and who would be a great fit for you. So yeah, open to all those conversations. I put my contact info in the chat there.
Is in the chat, so just grab it from there. If for some reason you didn't get it, just reach out to me or Elizabeth, and we can connect you with Brian.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brian. This was super helpful. I really appreciate it.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
I've been trying to get Brian on this for months. It was worth the wait, Brian. Thank you.
Al, you're playing a funny game. I like it, but I'll do anything you want.
All right.
That's good.
Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
Brian.
you.